Damn it, Nick. Why'd you gotta be so particular? Hey guys, welcome back to the Hustle and Horsepower channel. This right here is a fabricated big block Chevy intake that I actually got from Kendall Going. We're going to be converting this intake over to 16 injectors and building a plenum for Straight Gangster. Straight Gangster is probably going to get a 90 to 105 millimeter throttle body. That's right in the 4-inch range, since we'll be using a 4-inch collector V-band that will be welded to the throttle body. When you're doing that, you got to be careful. Make sure you don't heat up the seals and stuff like that. So it takes a little bit of time welding those on. So here, this is set up probably for a fogger system here or down nozzles. Knowing Kendall, it was probably for dual fogger setup, nitrous setup. So you'd have nozzles in here. These are probably 5/16 threaded set screws in here right now, just to keep them from having vacuum leaks and stuff like that. But we got these deals right here. These are some injector bungs, and I think we're gonna be putting those up here. Gives us a little bit more room. Gives us a little bit more room for the injector, and we're gonna point these down at the intake valve as close as we can. These rails here, I'm probably gonna set them up somewhere right here, as close to it as possible, to make it a little bit more easier. Since we are, we're definitely a budget race team here, we're gonna be running 16 Bosch 210 injectors, and I'm probably going to eventually add down nozzles into here, like a mechanical fuel system, where you have jets that go into here, and you'll have 8 hoses and 8 nozzles that go to a distribution block. And I could control that through the ECU with a lean out valve like they use in the top alcohol dragsters and stuff like that, or funny cars and stuff like that, where we do a pulse width modulation to control the amount of fuel that's actually going through here. So we could flow that fuel system out so it flows maybe 1,000 pounds an hour or something like that. And in the EFI system, I could program all that in there so that we can offset our fuel tables. So it may be 15 pounds of boost or 20 pounds of boost. These mechanical nozzles start adding fuel to the system, kind of just to blanket everything over. And then we could still do our individual fuel trims through the injectors, the electronic injectors up here. So that's probably how we're going to do that. Also with this deal, since it is going to take a little bit of work, you can see the spacing on here. These bolts are perfectly fine for naturally aspirated or nitrous application, but when we start putting 40 pounds of boost in here and possibly even a little bit of nitrous to light off those Borg-Warner turbos, we might have to, we'd probably knock this top off of it. So I got to go through here and add a whole bunch of bolts in here to really secure this top piece. Right now it is set up for a 4,500 carburetor flange or a throttle body flange. We're going to be using a single 90 millimeter to 105 millimeter throttle body on there. So this will all get cut out. I guess that's the start of it. What else do we need to do? Add a whole bunch of bolts, do these. Then here, I'll walk you through the process. Micrometer here. So this is, hopefully you guys can see this. This right here is it. 850, so that means it's 425, 4250. So I went in here, set this at 4250, scribed a line. You can see, hopefully you can see that vertical line in there. There you go, you can see the vertical line in there. Then I went through and I scribed the horizontal line as well. So that's gonna be the center. What am I doing with that? We're gonna go put these in the mill. The mill is basically, we're just gonna use it as a very rigid drill press with a fixed mount here. And I'm gonna go through and drill these with a number 7 drill bit. A number 7 drill bit is 201. That's what you use for coarse thread quarter 20 bolts, because I'm gonna go through, I'm gonna bolt up all these pieces to the spacing to a piece of flat stock. So I'll know that once we get all 4 of these in line, they're not this way, they're not this way, they're not this way, they're not this way. Get them all squared up and all centered. So I'm gonna make a little bit of a jig, drill and tap these so I can make a little jig to hold these all in place so that I know everything is gonna be perfect. And when I put all my injectors in here, hook it all up. That will also allow me to put that on the fuel rail here and mark out all my centers for when I go to make my fuel rails. We do have to drill these out and bore out all the holes to whatever inside diameter this is. Ooh, the brakes were on. These are about 5.53 inches. That's probably a millimeter. Metric. What are they? 13.5 millimeter. I don't know. Whatever hole size that is, so that our injectors fit into the fuel rails properly. So then we're gonna have to go through, make some mounts to hold these. So when we're at 120 pounds of fuel pressure, this sucker ain't trying to pop out. So we'll have to go and make some mounts. And I like doing my mounts horizontally. So even if the bolt loosens up, because there is a lot of vibrations and frequencies in drag cars, and if we decide to street drive this car, or when we put it on, when we street drive it or just drag racing, if that bolt loosens up a little bit, you don't want that fuel rail popping out. You want to be able to catch it. So if you have horizontal or vertical bolts in there, if it loosens up, it pops out and causes a fire because you got fuel going all over the place. So I like doing all my fuel rail mounts horizontally, so it gives you some time to catch a bolt if it starts loosening up. So I'm gonna start getting after that. Put these suckers in the mill, start drilling them up. .8 millimeter inches. $351. $350. Yeah. $344. $340. $345. Good enough. Well, guys, I marked out all these. Everywhere there's a line or a dot, it's going to be a hole, just to have a whole bunch more holding in those 45 pounds of boost if we hit on the scramble button here when we decide to try to go fast with this motor. But I'm going to go through here and just use the hand drill here with a number 7 drill bit, and I'm going to drill all those lines. I don't know if you can see the scribe line in there, but there's a scribe line in there for all the spacing to be even. Yes, some of those are at 1.25 inches, some of them are at 1 inch, but there's existing holes in there that I didn't drill. So you can't really go through and do equal spacing in there. So you're only gonna know it because I told you. Well, guys, that was a lot of holes. I'm gonna have to, I gotta get some metal shavings out of my slippers here, because yeah, that was a lot of drilling. I don't know how many holes I put in there. Probably like 20 holes or something like that, 30 holes. Probably more than that. We'll see. But now it's time to tap them all. Well, guys, we got them all mocked up in here. That side's a little low right now, but time to tack it in. Well, guys, I just got done running these through the mill. Catch you up here. These guys are going to bolt into here and a single bolt into the fuel rail here. I went over here, made myself a nice little mock-up gauge with pinholes. Then I went over here and made a whole bunch of freaking mess that I got to clean up before I head out for Christmas Eve dinner out of a scrap motor plate. So that's probably like 60, 61 or something like that. Used a porta band, a jigsaw, and freaking made a whole bunch of mess and cut those pieces out. Then went over here in the mill, indexed the faces. Of course, 2 of them are factory edge, 2 of them are milled edge, because that's just the way it came out. And I put all these together, and I did the front, the top, and then I faced the one edge and the side. Then I flipped around and faced the other edge and the other side. And here we are now. So these guys are pretty good. Hit them up with a little bit of sandpaper here. And then we're going to go through and we're going to mark them out for the fuel rail hold downs. So these things are going to sit in here. They'll get cleaned up. That's going to sit in here. Kind of like this. I might profile them a little bit differently after. Those are going to sit in there. Boop. Should be good to go. Damn it, Nick. Why'd you gotta be so particular? Let's see. What the hell? Well, guys, here we go. We got one on there. Of course, I'm gonna, the intentions are to sand this up and clean it up, but we got that in there. Guys, I like having my bolts perpendicular to the pressure, right? You'll see some fuel rails where they mount up and down, the bolts hold it down, up and down. I don't like that because pressure's working on it, right? Every time you start out the car, pressure goes up this way, pressure comes down this way. In this case, let's say my Loctite loosened up, right? And the bolt comes out a little bit. Guys, it's still in there. When a bolt loosens up, it starts walking out of the O-rings, and I'll say it because like it's a safety concern. I had an Edelbrock fuel rail set up on the Dirty 30 Super Victor intake, a very good Edelbrock intake, EFI, factory EFI intake on it. And that sucker damn near burnt to the ground in my driveway. Luckily, not my driveway, my mom's not driveway. Luckily, my neighbor ran over with their hose and I had my hose on it, and I burnt up a good portion of the electrical system. But we were racing the night before. I drove it probably 30 miles home, went to start it up to drive it to work the next day. And yeah, one of the bolts backed out, even though it was Loctited. When the bolts backed out, freaking worked its way up. And when I started it up in the driveway, that sucker, psh. So yeah, could have been a bad one. So guys, I'm not going to film me working because I got a lot of work to do. But going through the process, going through here. I got the pieces made up here. Boom, boom. We'll slide that on there, and we'll mark that. We'll mark the center on that. I measured it all up, so that should be level there. So fuel rail is going to have to come down a little bit because this is going to sit flush with the top there. And then I'll go through with my scribe here. Once I hold it in place, go through, mark my holes here, mark my holes here. Same on this side. Pre-drill it with a small drill bit. Then go back to a 201 drill bit because 201 is a quarter 20 course. I don't know all of them, but I know quarter 20 course is a 201 drill bit. So we'll drill these out all the way through, all the way through. We'll drill these out and tap them all to quarter 20. And then all my bolts will be sitting horizontal. So fuel pressure, it doesn't matter if the bolts loosen up a little bit. We won't be having any issues here. So getting after it. Guys, don't mind some of the welds here on this thing. Welding used aluminum is a mother. If you guys have any good tricks, besides putting it in my oven that I don't own, to clean this stuff up, you guys let me know because it is a mother welding used aluminum. Step 2, marked. So this guy, when you're doing this, you got to put a little bit of pressure down on the fuel rail. Make sure those are fully seated. These have a stop on the inside, but if you have like E-clips or something like that hold your fuel rails up, you got to make sure those are on there. Put a little bit of pressure on it so that you know everything is fully seated. You know, not crush the thing, but, you know, put some pressure on it. So you'll see that that lines up there, that lines up there, and that guy there lines up. Now, we're good to center tap those. Center punch those. It's probably gonna be a tap now because Nick's getting tired. And I got to head out to about 10 o'clock in the morning. And it is about 1 o'clock, midnight, 1 o'clock, something like that. So knock these out. I'm gonna do the same on this side. And then, yeah, drill and tap them. And then the intake is done, and I could probably finish assembling the intake, put the top on it, and that wouldn't be bad progress. The motor is just about ready to go together. It is sitting over here. Boom, boom, boom. Heads are on it. That's on it. Not the bell covers. You guys saw earlier in the video that I went through and see how this one's here. Like I clearanced that one and I clearanced that one. See how this one has the corner edge on it, the guide plate? Well, now I clearanced them, so it makes it nice and easy to get the nuts on and off. And when you're torquing them down, the socket isn't going to be touching those. So got those. Those are all set. Boom, boom, boom. Good to go. Guys, it was a whole lot of messing around to get these head studs worked, because these are actually 2 sets of head studs to make one head. And yeah, it took a little bit, and you could see that like these ones are dead flush. These ones have 1 thread sticking out. Those ones are dead flush. Those ones have a damn near 1/4 inch sticking out. But it took a whole lot of meandering to get those all in there. But they're all in there, and they're all pretty good. You know, you can see just thread and a half sticking out. You know, it was pretty freaking close, but we got them. You can see on like these ones, boom, got about a thread sticking out. You can see these ones, those are freaking flush, but it is what it is. Got her together. We got, boom, looking good. Boop. I don't know how the best Picasso guy, but hey, whatever. It is what it is. We'll give a good look over. Those are my turbo drains down there. Those are welded up. That hole right there open is for the oil heater that I welded in. You know, sometimes, like, you know, I'm not the best welder, but sometimes when that was even with the machine that was kind of broken. But, you know, we're getting it together.